Hey everyone! Alright. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. I don't want to show you all that streaming nonsense. You don't want to see that. You wanna see games, you wanna see stuff. So let's get on. There we go. That's a lot better. Whew. How you guys doing? Hey? I'm gonna try and monitor the chat on my phone, which is gonna be easier said than done. So, you'll have to bear with me on that. But hopefully everybody's here. Hopefully everybody's having a good time today. My shoulders ache like crazy because I've been to the gym early, which certainly has done its toll. I spent the last hour trying to get this presentation photo thing together because I've been quite busy today. So luckily was able to get it finished. Otherwise it would have been a bit of a letdown. I've got me squash me throat. I got my list. I've even got a little special something. I thought this needed to be a special occasion for the 10 to 1, finally wrapping this up. So I thought whilst I was shopping today, I thought I'd grab myself a little bit of home, a little bit of Somerset for my liking. You want to get your proper cider, you go to the Somerset. That's the way it is. Of course, if you're underage or if you're a young person watching this, drink responsibly. That's what I say. But I just figured I needed one of those, at least for today, just to get through it, because head's still tired. But hopefully the sheer fun factor of talking about these games will make up for it. So, who have we got? Let's see, this needs to update a little bit quicker than it actually is. I'm not sure if it's going to do exactly that. Maybe if I turn the media down and then stay on the live chat, it should work fine. Okay, well, we'll see whether it does or not. I can't guarantee I'll be able to see it easily on my phone. Come on, let's see. Live chat. Alright, we'll see how things go. I'm going to play it on my phone as well as this and see how that works. Either that or I'll just Alt-Tab out of the presentation. So we got Peter, Kabuki, Egglestein, Steve would play again, or plays a lot. You were first, apparently. Luke, Ricardo, Arkitli, Lillian, Ted, and Lillian. And I'm sure I've seen a few others that I recognize in there near the top. Chewy's back, John is back, Yvonne is back, Pascal's back, Victor's back, Philip's back. Can't see Board Game Ramblings yet, but hopefully we'll get them later. I don't know. I can't guarantee they'll be here, but there is at least one or two games I want them to see on this top 10, just so they can get a good. And no, Kent Cider is not better. Somerset all the way. So, not much else to say. It's my 10 through 1. Let's get on with it. You know why you're here. These are my 10 games. There are 3 new ones on the list. The rest of them you've seen before. Question is, what order are they in? So let's get in there. Whoop. Number 10. I need like a voiceover like Eric Summer or something like that. No Kabuki, there are 3 new ones in the top 10, not just 2. And speaking of new ones, the first one is Now. This is my favorite party game of all time. And you're probably already having an aneurysm right now thinking, what is a party game doing in this top 10? Party games are still fun. They're still games. I can have fun playing some big space epic or a huge Euro or some light little thing like Azul and Carcassonne and that. But sometimes you just need to unwind at the end of the night and you've got 6+ of you there and you just want a party game that is so funny that you can't help but just unwind. And this one is a recent addition. I think I only got it last year at Essen. And since then, every time I play this game, it is basically laugh out loud, no holds barred, falling out of my chair, trash talking to everybody in a light way, and everybody just has great fun with Detective Club. And I'm not joking. This is not a wind-up. This is just a game that works every single time. You know me, I love these picture games. Obscurio, Dixit, Mysterium, even Mysterium Parks right behind my shoulder there. And this one is my sort of pinnacle of all those picture card mechanics. iGames I think did it originally. Now Blue Orange I think is reprinting it. But this one just... oh, yes. What's the idea of this one? Well, again, look, picture cards. You know what these are. And as you can see, the Cthulhu Eyeball Cheese, Stilton Cheese one there at the top there. There are some weird ones in there. But the idea is that it's kind of a mix of Dixit and Spyfall. So if you know what Spyfall was like, then the idea was that somebody didn't know where they were location-wise, and everybody had to figure out which one that was based on questions. This is similar, but a little bit different. The idea is that one person who's giving the clue puts a clue card face down. So let's say they put the demonic tree there, and number 1. The number 1 and number 2 spot, because you'll have 2 cards eventually. They then, on these little notepads, write down on all but one of the notepads what the clue word is in secret. So you could, I don't know, you could call it Cthulhu. I don't know, let's just say Cthulhu is the clue word and that's what it is. And then on all but one of the pads, so one of them will be blank and the rest of them will have the clue word in it. They're then shuffled and dished out randomly, and each player gets the pad and one of them won't know what the clue word is. So then what happens is that each player in turn, including the clue giver, puts down 2 cards in front of them to try and show what represents their clue. Obviously, the people who know the clue word have to try and put out cards that best represent the clue, whereas the person who doesn't know the clue word, the conspirator as it's called, has to try and figure out from all the pictures that are coming out what that clue word could possibly link to. And then once everybody's got 2 words out, the clue word is revealed, and then everybody in turn justifies why their cards relate to the clue word. It sounds like the conspirator has got no chance at all, but I'm telling you they do, especially in large groups, because the classic thing with this is look at the cards. I mean, look at that collection of cards there on the bottom right. There's like giant chess pieces, there's wave with ships, there's snooker balls on a beach. I mean, there are some weird cards in this set compared to even normal Dixit. But the idea is that, you know, you may know what the clue word is. Yeah, it's Cthulhu. But if all your hand is full of stuff like wave water and bunny rabbits and little flowers, how exactly do you relate that to Cthulhu? So everybody gives their explanation of how their cards relate, and everybody is trash talking everybody as to how stupid their clues are. But the conspirator just basically has to lie through their back teeth to try and come up with some way to link their cards to the clue word. And the cleverer the conspirator, the more they can get away with it. And I've heard some doozies. But it's balanced out by the fact that even the people who know the clue word could still have bad cards. So some element of doubt is going around. You hear them, it's like, oh, I think this relates to it because it's got wings, Cthulhu has wings, and it's dark, and that's Arkham. And then everybody else just sort of, I have questions. And it just goes from there. I honestly love this game. Never gone wrong. I've shown it to people at Portsmouth in the last few weeks, and they have loved it. So much so that one of them keeps taking it off the shelf in the library there and plays it even if I'm not on the table. But, even with 4 players, it works quite well. But I love it when I've got 6+, and I just throw this one out. Favorite party game of all time, Detective Club. Whew. Here's next year. Picked this up at Aircon in March, hoping to play it next week. Oh, please do. It is so good. Being a fan, if you're a fan of Dixit and similar games, you're going to love Detective Club. But bear in mind, it's got similarities to Spyfall, but it's not as tense for the conspirator in that as the spy is in Spyfall, because everybody's got an element of doubt. I didn't like Spyfall, but I'm very good at storytelling. Then give this one a try. Hi from Brazil, and number 9 is not Terraforming Mars. No, number 9 is the second of the 3 new games on my list. I know 2 out of 3 already, but it's just the way it rolled when I pulled it off the ranking. This is possibly another one of those cases where, hang on, the theme's not that strong in this Euro, is it? Yeah, but you know, and it's got cubes. Yeah, and it's a bit more of a puzzle, isn't it? Yes, but it just works so well. I don't know. I inject a lot of theme into this one. And granted, I have to work hard to do that because you are essentially pushing cubes around and juggling them about. But with this, the idea that you start off as a blank slate and then it's like a sandbox style Euro. I can decide what I want to do. I can get companions. I can get a mount. I can go get relics. I can go get character traits. I can go kill monsters. I can go be a tomb raider. I'll be a missionary. I'll go, you know, be the monster killer. I'll just have a big posse of followers, wizards, mages, warriors, rogues, whatever. I can inject any story I want into this. And so even though the game itself is not necessarily thematic, I'm still telling stories because this was a massive surprise hit. I heard Tom rave about it, Tom Vassell, and I thought, this sounds interesting, but when am I ever going to get a chance to play it? Because I didn't back it on Kickstarter. Then I came across a group who was teaching it at HandyCon one time, a local convention, and I got in, 5-player game. This was late at night, we were all a bit drunk, and you know the game took forever into the morning hours. And normally that would be such a put-off. But as I was playing it, and I know some of that might have been the alcohol, I just got into it so much, like telling a tale of what I was doing with these cards. I mean, here what have I done here? I've got 2 followers, Augusta, the Water's Touch, and Ella, Flicker of Days to Come, some persistence, creativity, and expertise traits. You know, that was just one particular game. But even when I bought the game later on the second Kickstarter, played it normally, I fell in love with it. And it is just It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, this is what it is, a cube pusher at the end of the day, but it's got a setting that works for me. It's fantasy. Yes, it's fairly generic fantasy. The artwork's pretty decent across the board. I mean, even though the board itself is not necessarily glowing with artwork, does it not just look nice and colorful to you? It would turn your head if you looked at it. But the idea is that you're juggling these cubes around in these little circles around the edge of the board. They're your attributes. And you've got to basically play a bit of a puzzle with them while using those attributes to buy cards, which get you honor points, but also give you special abilities. All these cards are unique. So I get a companion and it does this ability. I get this trait, it does this ability. I get this relic, it gives me charges for this ability. Everything is unique and I get to pick what I do. It's sandbox. Endgame conditions vary throughout the game. In fact, some of them aren't even revealed until the game progresses on. This game can take anywhere from 60 minutes to 2.5 hours, depending on what the variable endgame conditions are and how many players there are. But a lot of the times it can finish pretty quickly. We're talking 90-minute game on typical for a 3 or 4 player game. And I just really get a kick out of it. It surprised me to no end. I thought I was going to potentially hate this one. I thought this is getting flagged up way too much, but the premise sounds cool, and it was more than cool. It's in my collection, in the other room, and there to stay. I love teaching this one. I love playing it. It's even got a fun solo mode. Don't tend to use much of the expansion in it, I must admit. I prefer just to play it with the normal stuff and tweak a few of the, what you call them, the variable components from the base game, but there's some good stuff here. I love it. And I got some friends who, I've signed on to it as well, but I need to get it to the table more often. It's just quite a big box and it's a bit of a teach if no one's played it before. What's on that one? If I had to spend $100 on a game, this would be it. Yep, fair enough. Hey, Giober, Stenobro, hello, Peter, Dean. I really need to try before I buy. By all means, do so. There's something special with the feel and theme of it as well. I know, it's not exactly a thematic game, but it just kind of works. Snowtails in the top 10. Unpopular opinion, drinking whilst playing may improve your gaming experience. Only up to a point. I'm not going to play Food Chain Magnate and enjoy it just because I've got some alcohol in me. In fact, the only reason I have the alcohol when playing Food Chain Magnate is, I need to, I'm going to kill myself if I don't do this. I need the alcohol, please, please, please. This game is horrible. Don't want it. Anyway, number 8. And this time it's a game you're all familiar with. So, let's see. This one, I don't think it's shifted that much. In fact, it's gone up a place. 1 place up. Whoopee, it's still consistent. We had its big brother earlier on the previous list, I think in the 30 to 21 list. Yes, it did. 30 to 21, its big brother was there. People called that it was going to be in the top 10. It's no surprise. It's had an expansion, which I really like. It's getting another expansion at the end of this year, which I'm looking forward to, although how I'm going to store it in the box. I've got an insert, that's annoying. I've even pimped it up recently with metal coins. I've even got a solo print and play expansion in it, which I will showcase for you on the channel with a solo play at some point. Oh yeah, everybody called this one, and everyone's still calling it right now. Seven Wonders Duel. Officially, in my opinion, if we're going to go solely by 2-player only games, not games that can be played 2-player, 2-player only games, this is my favorite. This is hands down what I believe to be the best 2-player game in existence. It is just so much fun, so tense with its decisions. It already looks good. All these little mini cards and the artwork that we already know from Repost Production and that gorgeous looking colorful artwork. But the idea that this 2-player game can involve drafting and still work. 2-player drafting games are a bit of a fiddly thing these days. But that one in the top left, that picture, that's actually a solo play a few weeks ago where I tested out the print and play solo expansion. So if you look at the top right of that picture, you can see these cards, the laminated cards where it's got an arrow and colors on it. You use that deck to dictate what the adversary who's on the top right there does with their wonders and cards. And you basically have to go up against them and try and get the most points or win by major victory. Easier said than done, especially with a couple of them like Bilkus, who are just near impossible. But, that is, I can now play this solo, and that's why it hasn't fallen, because as much as I love the game, being restricted to only playing it 2-player would have some issues. The fact that I can now play it solo has just boom, yep, it's staying, and it's going to hang around in this area for a good long while. Different cards are going to come out, different games. It's going to influence what you do. Same with the Wonders. I love the Pantheon expansion. It allows you to use these god powers if you've got money to spare. But the main thing it does is normally you draft, I draft, you draft, I draft. With Pantheon, you can upset the rhythm by sort of going, no, I'm not going to draft. I'm going to spend 6 gold and I'm going to use this god power. Do this ability? Right, you draft again. And suddenly, just breaking up the rhythm like that can really engage in some good tactical plays when you do this. But I've had some tense games of this one. I had a friendly tournament about a year ago at a local cafe. We played several games, and then we had a semi-final with a Seven Wonders 7-player game, which I came second in, but it was enough to go to the final. And I played a friend of mine, Seven Wonders Duel for the final. We were down to the wire. It was literally like, if one of us gets a certain card, each of us will win. We came down to points, and I think I won by like 2 points. It was a tense match, but that's what this game does. Brilliant 2-player game. I can't think of any 2-player game that even comes close to beating this, from a solely 2-player game perspective. And I've got a lot in the other room. I even had a few on this list. Oh, it's so nice. When the people saying, I'm not going to go to the next number until I've interacted with the chat now, because otherwise that will throw people off on the timestamps. Seven Wonders Duel and Bunny Kingdom at 2 players are good drafting games. I've never tried Bunny Kingdom with 2 players, I wonder. I like it. It's on my shelf down there, but I've only played it multiplayer. Hello, Gem and Biscuits. What did you miss? You just missed 2 free, incredibly good games. What gives? Best thing about Duel versus original Seven Wonders are the changes to the military, which felt lacking in the original title. I still like the military in the original, but yeah, I get what you mean. The military is more... It hurts more in this one, because rather than just losing a couple of points, you're outright losing money, and money is super tight in this. WoW Solo, really? Yes, there is a print-and-play expansion. Look on Repos Productions' website to find out more. Failing that, be patient. Eventually, I'll get round to doing a solo play of it, and I'll put it on the channel, and you can watch it, and I will put details and links in that video. And everybody's just catching up. Okay, who's your favorite opponent solo? I can't remember the names of them. I haven't played them all, to be honest. I played several of them. I played a few of them several times trying to beat them, but there's one who collects yellow cards a lot. I quite like them because it's a bit of a different dynamic when they get all the yellow cards. Bilkis is not a particular favorite because she's just too hard. I mean, she is ridiculously hard. But you want a challenge, go for her. But, I mean, I can't think of who I would like more than others. Cool. Let's have a go. Number 7. We're not quite onto the new title yet. We soon will be, though. And this one, let's see, the last one went up a place. This one's gone down a place. So, not exactly much of a shift here. It's not my favorite Cthulhu game on the list. Not that there's much of a list yet. Left. Talk properly. But this is definitely a second favorite Cthulhu game. And this is the big Cthulhu game. As in, everything's on the table. Big, grandiose, what's the word? Like haunted mansion style thing. Oh dear, I just gave it away. Well, you kind of know what it is. Yeah. Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. I love playing this one. This is the most thematic Cthulhu game you can get. It has the app integration, which, like the Journeys in Middle-earth Lord of the Rings one, is one of the best app integrations I've ever seen for a board game, period. It has all the ambient music, handles all the bookkeeping for you. I mean, literally, you just you open up the box, get the app, and then through the app, you set up your characters and their starting items and the starting tiles for whatever scenario you do. And then the app just takes you through everything else. All the tiles, all the monsters, all the plays, all the clues, all the puzzles. You get these cool little Krypton Factor style puzzles in there, logic puzzles. And it takes you through really good, engaging stories while being tense against the clock, while giving good descriptions of what's going on. I mean, I love the combat system in this. Trying to show an example. I mean, there's the app screen on the right, and that one's saying, "Oh, I found a clue." I click on the question mark, and it says several recently framed photographs sit on display in the lobby. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure game in a sense. And I've got a choice of searching it or going somewhere else. But when you're in combat, there's different options you pick depending on whether you've got a bladed weapon, a blunt weapon, martial arts, a spell, a gun, whatever. And then no matter whatever enemy you're facing, you press the option you need, and it gives a little narrative as to what you're doing. It's not just simply, I hit cultist for 2 HP. cultist dies. The end. No, it's not like that. No, it's you run in and leap onto the table, sweeping your leg under the cultist's feet, knocking him down and stunning him as his head hits the side of the table and thumps on the floor. Yeah, I mean, that's a bad description, but that's kind of what you're getting every attack. And the horror checks are something that's actually partially going to give kids nightmares, I think, actually. Some of the horror checks you do in this game are kind of like, yeah, good thing I'm not in this position, but it just really sucks you into the theme. And, as I say, there's the app on the bottom left. You just have your investigator and the items, and then the map just builds itself. And I mean, in this case, it's a mansion, so I think Resident Evil in a sense. But then you've got expansions. I've kitted it out like crazy, so I can go to Innsmouth, I can go into the woods, like the Black Goat. I've gone to festivals. I've gone to like what are they called? Whoever the mob mafia style people in this, I forget what they're called. I forget what they are. Somebody in the comments will correct me, but you can go visit them. What else have I done? I've gone on an airship. I've been to a party where it's a whodunit. A murder takes place and you have to try and figure out who it is and accuse the correct one before the timer runs out. There is so much story and theme packed into this game with one of the best app integrations ever. It is easily a fantastic game. Narrowly beaten by the other Cthulhu game, and even then I think the two of them could switch around at any point. If anything slightly mars this one, it's the fact that I'll only really play it solo, and you kind of have to control at least 3 if not 4 investigators at the same time, otherwise it kind of unbalances a bit. But I love this one. Where do we go? Needs too much storage space? Yeah, it does. This feels like playing a D&D with the app playing the role of storyteller and DM. Exactly. Yeah. Think of this as a horror RPG that doesn't require a DM. That's a perfect description. If the app does all that, why bother having a board and minis? Oh, don't start, John. You know exactly why. So, a load of people say this. They say, like, well, if the app is so good, why don't you play a video game? And it's like, because I still like to move the pieces. I still have the minis. I still have the tiles. I still, yes, you can scroll around the app screen, but maybe I want to see the entire map going. Maybe I just want to be the one that actually picks up a chunk of dice and rolls them. Loads of people use that excuse about when apps get put into games, and frankly, I say codswallop. It's apps have really done a good thing with some board games, particularly when it just handles the bookkeeping. Why be against them? Resident Evil with the same system would be epic, actually. Yeah, actually, I kind of agree. Actually, forget that rubbish one that came out recently, whether it was Resident Evil 2. Now, forget that part of rubbish. I think app integration like this would be good. The app takes the place of one versus many. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Hi, everybody. At long last, I'm not missing out. Nope, that's highs. Hi, swooshy. What is your favorite game that has an auction bidding as a mechanism? We'll get on to questions like that when I'm done with the 10 mansions of Codswallop. I couldn't think of a decent word to say, but I'm trying not to swear on the channel. I gotta keep it family friendly. Not to mention I keep having to tell YouTube to review the videos when I'm done with them because they keep saying they're limited ads suitability or something. It's like, no, I don't swear in my videos. So how am I like limited ads? I don't know. As soon as I click review, within about an hour, they say, oh yeah, sorry, you can have all your ads back. It's like, come on, the channel has to pay for itself somehow. Righty, 6. And we're on to the final new game on the entire top 100. And this is a heavy Euro with a reasonable amount of theme. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the most thematic thing in history, but it's certainly not devoid of it. But this is an unknown by a lot of people, and 1 or 2 people have called that this might hit the list in the past, so good on them. And I don't think Board Game Ramblings, we have a bit of a comic rivalry, the two of us, and I don't think they like this game very much. I'm not sure. They hinted that they didn't, but I don't know why. I think this game's absolutely amazing. It's a heavy Euro with the typical, ancient, I suppose, like ancient tribes building up their village, getting resources and turn them into points, collect cards, do special abilities. But this I found out literally at Essen last year, knew nothing about it. I just saw it on a table, a demo thing. It's like, ooh, this looks good. This looks nice. Ooh, what's this? And I thought, okay, well, looks cool. It's got Michael Menzel's artwork, which basically means it'll have the best board you can get. But I tried it, sat down at Quinid Games to play this, instantly fell in love with it. So much so, it got a 10 out of 10 on my review. Terramara. Most people don't even know this game exists, but I am not joking. Check out my review. I did it at the end of last year. It is fantastic. This is a Euro game that speaks to me. It's like, what do you like in your heavy Euros, Luke? Well, I like to be able to choose from multiple paths. I like the getting resources and using them and processing them to get like cool abilities. I like the idea that I can get special powers at the start of the game and during the game. I like a variable board so that the board changes every game, so it never feels the same each time. Hello, Terra Mara. It literally just said, hello, Luke, here's your Euro. Because this one, you basically have these like tribesmen, chieftains and that. And the board, I'm trying to think, the board on the left-hand side is a typical boardscape near the start of the game. Sort of in the first round, I think we're in. Yeah, that's typical. So it's worker placement, and you have resources, basic resources like wood and stone, or they call it ashlar, which apparently is refined stone, the more you know, and clay and stuff like that. And you use these resources, you process them into their advanced form, so cows become leather and wood becomes timber, etc. And you use these advanced resources to pay for these cards, like on the bottom right. And these cards give you points. They give you some instant bonus sometimes. They might give you a perpetual power for the rest of the game. They might give you some once per round, tap the card and do something. And there's a lot of variety there. But what sets this game out from the rest? Firstly, artwork and looks. Look at it. Is that not just gorgeous? This game oozes color all over the place, and it's because Michael Menzel does the artwork. And if you don't know who Michael Menzel is, then try to think. I think he did the artwork for Pillars of the Earth, to my knowledge. Don't quote me on that. I think he did. And Legends of Andor, he designed and illustrated that game. Now, I don't overly like Legends of Andor that much, but the boards, every time Michael Menzel does a board, it looks gorgeous. Look at that top right picture. Look at the detail in that board. The snow plains, the lake, the people in the boat, people farming, the little like cows on the hills. It's so detailed that even if you're waiting for your turn to come around, you can just look at the board and just go, ooh, this looks nice. And it just, it's like music to my eyes, if that can even be a thing. But the great thing with this, you've got 3 tracks. There's top track military, bottom track river, and the caravan track at the left, right? As you advance on those 3, you get different sort of bonuses or different point gathering opportunities than other players. You can't go onto the same space as other people unless your military's higher. The caravan gets you certain bonuses, but there's also these places you can go en route where if you meet the condition at the end of the game, you get bonus points. The river allows you access to buy better cards. You're limited at what cards you can get if you're still at the start of the river, but the more you go along the river, the more cards you have access to. And getting them before the opponents can be a life or death situation. But variability, check this out. You will notice on the right photo that those 2 tiles with snow plains and the flags on, they look different from the other picture, don't they? That's because that entire board is made up of these row segments that you put in randomly at the start of the game. I mean, there's like 3 times as many rows as there are pictured there. But then as each round goes on, you flip a tile over on the first row and it becomes this new action or point scoring opportunity. And when you put your workers out, the further down the board you put the worker out, the more powerful the action, but the later the worker comes back to you. You don't get the worker back until the round marker catches up with the worker. So do you go on the small spaces and get little bits of resources, but all your workers? Or do you jump ahead, get a really good space that could accelerate you forward, but you may not get that worker back for another 2 rounds? I could spend ages talking about it and then I'll probably run out of time. Seriously, check out my review on this game. You will see why I love this one. I love teaching it. I love playing it. It's just everything I need in a Euro. What? The board looks like one of those works of art where they throw paint into a jet engine. It's gorgeous. What are you on about? Does it play well at 2-player? I think it plays fine at 2-player, but you have a neutral player with 2 and 3 players. This is best played with 4, but I have played it with 2 and 3, and I find it okay. Yes, it's probably expensive in the US because I don't think the US has had a good release of this, particularly in Canada either, so sorry about that, but why does nobody like the look of the board? What do I need to do? I mean, go play Carpe Diem or something. There you go, if that's your style of board. but where's the app? Ha ha ha. Right, fine. Fine. Go watch my review, that'll give you more detail. Number 5. Okay, number 5, draw. Oh, it's actually gone up 2 places. That's interesting. I think it's just probably had some more plays, or it's just simply hovered around this point, really. Now, we know I like cider. Cider is good for me. It's very nice, very tasty. It's easily my favourite alcoholic beverage. Second favourite alcoholic beverage, which didn't start until I was into my 20s, I think, is more of the grape variety. Yes, the Eurogame associated best with making gorgeous white or red wine, viticulture. Viticulture, and I am specifically having to put a caveat on this one actually, because this is the Essential Edition pictured. I have the full original set with the Tuscany expansion thrown in, but I'm going to say that the only reason this is in my top 10 and not like 50 places further down the list is because this is Viticulture with Tuscany, or in the current case, Viticulture Essential with Tuscany Essential. Stonemaier, how did you come up with such a stupid system for naming and packaging your games? I have no idea, but whatever. Basically, this with the expansion makes it into my top 10 at my number 5. And why is that? Well, because Tuscany, or Essentials, whatever, throws in these little modules that really elevate the game. You get structures that you can build in addition to the structures on your main board, and they can give you other like ways of winning the game even. I had one game where I didn't make a single wine order. I built 2 structures, a cafe and a restaurant, and they required me to harvest a ton of grapes and then give them to the restaurant. Fine, I'll do that for the rest of the game. It's a different path to victory, and I won. It gives you special workers that you can use, which I sort of use every now and again. But I think, what's the 2 best things it gives? No, Mamas and Papas came in normal essentials. But why do you need the new set, really especially? Advanced visitor cards. Much better visitor cards, even though you can get the little mini expansions for visitor cards, which is really good. But the board. The revised board, which sadly is not pictured in that particular example there, but the revised board in Tuscany is a must-have. You need that board because it gives you an extra season. This one normally only I think has 3 seasons in it, whereas the other one has 4, the spring, summer, autumn, winter. Each one with their own set of actions. You've got the wake up chart with the cockerels. Each road that you go on though can give you bonuses as you go into each season. The actions are more spread out. You've got the structures, as I said. You can now trade for like grapes and cards and such. And you've even got this little mini map in the bottom left corner as influence, where when you put these stars out on the map, you get a bonus, but you're fighting for area control to get points. Combine all that with what Viticulture already had, and you get the perfect way to play this game. I've got the metal coins pimped out like crazy. In fact, I even bought a second set of those metal coins to use in other games because I just think they're really good. I love metal coins. And the theme of this is just fantastic. I mean, yes, you have to abstract a little bit of the theme. I get it. Grapes do not age each year and stay fresh. Okay, yes, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But it still feels like, here's my vineyard, here's my vines, I'm making white or red wine, I'm doing these wine orders, I'm running the cafe if I built the structure, maybe I'm using these visitor cards, maybe I'm doing big wine orders like sparkling wine. Everything just, the theme just works. Yes, abstracted, I know, but I love wine, and so the art of making wine is interesting to me, so I suppose that's why it kind of gels on me a bit more. But it's quite an elegant game as well. It's not a complicated game to teach. It's worker placement. Most people know that. The action spaces are pretty straightforward. You know, you go there, play a card, go there, draw a card, go there, fill a wine order. The most fiddly thing in this game is just working out how to do the wine and grape tokens. And even then, once you get used to it, you're kind of there. There's not many people I've taught it to who have still struggled with how those work. But you've got all the different structures, all the different options. It's colourful, it looks gorgeous, it's well produced. This is just another one of those Euro games I love. And granted, I know I spoke really, really highly of Terramara. This and Viticulture could swap easily, but I think Viticulture gets the slight edge because compared to Terramara, it is shorter. It also has a solo mode. It also works fine at the lower player counts compared to Terramara, so I think that's why it gets the slight edge. But Viticulture is just so good for me. Love it, love it. Hoo-doo-doo. What have we got there? Not a theme we are interested in, so no, why don't you like wine? You're from New Zealand. You're my second favourite country for making wine. How can you not be into it? Favorite country is Chile. Game has still eluded me. Kabuki, how have you never played Viticulture? How is that even possible? I think because it all looks so nice and it always makes it kind of messy. Doesn't have to be. It's not messy. It's pretty straightforward when you see the board up close. I know the pictures probably don't do it justice, but people will say, but that's why I like my games to look like Food Chain Magnate, because I can tell exactly what's going on. Yeah, and it also looks like garbage. You use the special workers? I still haven't. Occasionally I use the special workers, but not as often. If everybody knows the game already, I'll throw them in. If I'm teaching people, I leave them out. Think Architects replaced the base for me. Need to play Tuscany, though. Well, I've got both. You saw Architects on the previous list, and I certainly recommend adding Tuscany elements and trying it. Raiders, Manhattan Project still my worker placement of choice. The original? I mean, it's a good game, fine, even though the air raids are pointless, but I talked about Energy Empire a few lists ago. That's the best Manhattan Project game. Aging, time to change from wine to whiskey. Yeah, I know the aging system is a little bit abstracted, but fine. Luck seems to be a problem in this game for many people. Yeah, there's a little bit of luck in this game. You drawing the cards from decks, and some of the visitor card abilities may be like a perfect thing for you, although they have balanced that out with the Tuscany cards and the expansions that you can get, because they all have multi-choice. So when you pick up a card, it will have a useful option to you, regardless of whether it's the first or second choice. But because all the cards have got multi-choice on it, it allows you to mitigate that luck aspect. And yes, okay, it's not devoid of luck, but for crying out loud, everybody goes on about terraforming Mars. How much luck is in that game? 2.5 to 3 hours that you got to sit there drafting from these cards, and it's like, oh, I look at these cards. Oh, none of them give plants. But that's what I'm going for. Okay, well, how about the next 4? Oh, no plants, and I can't afford any of these. Oh, well, never mind then. Hey, hang on, how'd you get that card? Oh, it was in my starting hand, I just instantly nicked it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Terraforming Mars has got worse issues with the luck factor than this one does. Tuscany is a must. Would be interesting to know everyone's top 5. Yes, by all means, share your top 5. I know that most of you haven't created top 100 lists, which is fine, but share your top 5 in the comments. I'm interested. Maybe I'll look at them at the end after I'm done with this video. Good candidate, retheme to Kentish cider. Ha! Kentish cider. Not to say Kent cider is not nice, to be honest. I've had some Kent cider. It's perfectly fine. But I'm from Somerset. What do you think I'm going to go for? Yeah, thanks, Lynette. Lynette's a friend of mine. I didn't even expect her to be on this chat, so I'm quite surprised by this. But yep, she's just going to rag on me for the entire time, I think. Anyway, Lynette, you like viticulture, don't you? I thought you did. House rules to balance the card luck? Interesting. But oh well. Hates free games in my top 5. Yeah, probably. But we'll see. Anyway, let's carry on. Number 4. Right, and well, to be fair, I think most of you can probably call the top 4, but what order will they be? Well, first up, we've got an LCG. This LCG is basically, well, I can't really talk about it without giving it away because most people have figured it out. But for those not in the chat, I guess, this is the horror LCG of choice. I already mentioned Mansions of Madness a minute ago. Obviously, the best LCG for horror has to be the Arkham Horror, the card game. This one is just, mechanically, this one is better than Mansions of Madness. I still think Mansions of Madness 2nd edition has a better theme, but this one is better mechanically because of the sheer amount of variety that you get with the investigators and the content and the sagas that you've got now. Granted, it's been out for a while, so it's got a lot of sagas for it, but I'm having great times with it. I mean, that picture there is a recent play. I literally did it only a few days ago where I played through the first scenario in the new deluxe expansion, the new Innsmouth one. So this one has you going, don't worry, there's not really much of a spoiler in this picture, but essentially you're trapped in a pit and you've got these tunnels networks that you're going through. There's this big horrible mutated creature sort of chasing you at some point. You come across things that give you flashbacks. It's a really good narrative scenario whilst not being too difficult. Oh, it can drown you at a moment's notice if you're not careful, but it doesn't feel like it's punching you in the face like some scenarios do. But I love the variety with the investigators. I net deck this a lot, so I get my decks off the internet rather than build my own. I've got not enough time in my hands, and to be fair, if you go to arkhamdb.com, you can find people who put up these great decks. Great. I've played in conventions where I've done big, like, group games. I did at UK Games Expo last year. Me and 2 others went through the Guardians of the Abyss scenario. We won it, just about, but wow, that was a good fun game. I played Carolyn Fern. She's the psychologist. So I was basically healing the horror of the others while giving them more cards and giving them more resources. I was a team player. But the main reason that my weakness of not being able to deal with monsters wasn't a problem was because I had Wendy, who just basically said to the bag, screw you, I know what's in it, and was an archer. And I had Akashi. Same Akashi, actually, that I'm playing this 2-player campaign with here. And Akashi is just basically a mind-melting machine with her spells. Yeah, she sucked up a lot of horror damage. Psychology, heal. We were just a well-knit team. However, this game, much like one coming up later, has been responsible for, okay, not some literal nightmares, but it certainly has been, it's given me nightmarish images. For example, that thing. You fight that thing at the end of one of the last cycle that there was, right? I'm sorry, with that stupid CGI spider at the end of it or something like that, you give me that spider and I will be running for the hills. It looks like it's like carved in half. It's like a horrific face. The spider is so big it actually has multiple cards in the game. It's so ridiculous. It is a freak of nature. And to be fair, the last cycle was hard to get through because it focuses on the Dreamlands, and this particular ancient one is a spider type ancient one. Yeah, me and spiders do not mix. Certainly not in a game that is Arkham horror. The first scenario has you in a doctor's ward and, your patients are asleep and they're stuck in the Dreamlands, but you see webs appearing everywhere and, spiders start crawling out of bed sheets and these orderlies go around and the spiders come out of their mouths. The imagery on the cards is nightmare inducing for me. It is one of the toughest scenarios I've played. It is also just one of the toughest mental scenarios I've ever played. It is truly horrific. But hey, that's just the theme working really well. This one with Innsmouth, though, I get to make Murloc noises with the deep ones, and I'm going to have a blast with it as well. I think I know the top 3, top 10. How would you rank the cycles in terms of difficulty? Terms of difficulty. They've kind of gone... Actually, no, let's say that. I mean, Dunwich, I think, is probably the easiest. Carcosa wasn't too difficult, but Carcosa is one of the best ones in the set because thematically it tells a really good story. Forgotten Age is probably one of the hardest in the set going up against Yig. You need your agility high in that one, and it's, if you kill enemies, it makes life harder later, so it's a bit of a pain. The one after it, the Witches one, tricky-ish, but not too bad. The Spider one varies in difficulty. It kind of goes up and down, but I think that one was relatively well balanced. Problem is, I found that in solo mode, some of the scenarios were a lot harder than they should be, so it's definitely more for groups. And so far, I think this water one, the Innsmouth one, the first 2 scenarios I played, I think have been pretty well balanced in terms of difficulty. So, I don't know. The second scenario is quite tricky if you're playing true solo, but 2 players, both scenarios have been really good. And like I say, this game is not easy. I play it on standard mode. Sometimes I play it on easy mode because, frankly, all you're doing is making the Chaos Bag that little less punishing. And the Chaos Bag is a luck factor. So why should I make the game harder by simply just making my luck worse? Make the game harder by giving me challenging scenarios, not just by making the bag hate me. Ah, well. Can you still get into this game and buy the expansions? You need to have a good experience without getting broke. Just start from the beginning. Get the core set. Don't worry about getting multiple core sets just yet. Start with Dunwich. Just work your way through. You don't have to catch up with us because it's a co-op game. We'll help you out and you can go at your own pace. In fact, now, one sec. They've now just released these. They're starter decks for Arkham and that. So what you could do is get the core set and then decide to get one of these starter decks, which give you some extra cards for the pool, gives you a No Investigator, and a pre-built deck. I've yet to test some of these out. In fact, the solo play I might do a solo play of this and use one of these decks and see how they go. Would you guys like that? Well, let me know. Anyway, let's move on. We got to get a move on. This is definitely going to be a longer video, I think, today. And yeah, I might start playing it on easy mode, to be honest, because I think problem is the harder difficulty you go up, you get these minus numbers in the chaos bag, which are basically just you fail. You know, you can't possibly make those tests. Oh well. Anyway, more on that another time. 3. Well, let's stay with Fantasy Flight, because Fantasy Flight does a lot of games I like, I must admit, even though I don't agree with a lot of their distribution models. This is the other LCG of choice. I love Arkham Horror. Which IP do I like more than Arkham Horror? Yo, yeah, I love Lord of the Rings, and the card game is no exception. You know, I love the Journeys in Middle Earth down there. I like pretty much any game that is Lord of the Rings themed, although the old one, the old cooperative game, not so much, because that was just abstracted. But I love this card game. Now, recently it has taken a bit of a hit for me, though. But I don't blame that on the entire game. They're trying to wrap up the last cycle of this entire game. They're not cutting it completely, but they're going to take a break on releases. But there are 1 or 2 like standalone scenarios that they might release over time, but they're certainly not going to release another cycle for eons now. We're kind of like, this will be the last main cycle. But there's so much content for this game, it's ridiculous. But the recent cycle I've been playing has been ridiculously hard. This game is harder than Arkham Horror LCG, I believe, and wow. The difficulty with the recent saga, particularly the next pack I've got, in fact, where is it? Oh, I've opened it, it's up there. But wow, the difficulty ranks from 1 to 10 in the scenarios. The last couple have been 9 and 10. They are scenarios that are so hard, I don't even think I'll be able to beat them. And that is a bit of a problem. I think that the recent saga was just too hard, too punishing, and it is a bit of a put-off. But whatever. I've got so many cycles for this game. I've got so many scenarios that I could just play standalone. I've got the campaign sagas, the the ones that play through the movies. They're still really good fun. I can pick whatever I want to do with this game. Okay, so the last cycle was a bit of a dud for me. Whatever, I'll play one of the other cycles. The Grey Havens one has you going on ships and chasing down like Corsair ships and doing battles at sea and investigating like islands like Tomb Raider style. That's like my favourite saga in the entire lot. There was one Dale related, which had you going up against dragons. There's some really good stuff there. But what I've got here, that bottom picture, the left one, is a recent game. Yeah, that was a recent game I played against the 5th pack in the recent cycle, and it basically kicked my butt. Like my deck, which is a Fellowship of the Ring style deck, so you got Hobbit heroes, but then they bring out really good, like big allies. Problem is, it's just impossible for me to get to grips with this scenario. I mean, the scenarios are just too difficult for this deck. You know, my deck is not the best type of deck to use in this cycle, I would admit, but I like to use one deck for the whole cycle. I don't like to keep chopping and changing my deck every time I go to a different mission, because thematically it doesn't make sense. Problem is, some scenarios get so hard you kind of have to do that. But failing that, just play them standalone. There are some scenarios I absolutely love, and in terms of deck construction, it is ridiculous how many different types of decks you can make. I always go for manic ones, so a Hobbit deck, an Elf deck, a Gandalf deck, Dwarf deck, maybe focus on a particular sphere, focus on a particular race, the Dale decks, and I think I'm going to do a Dunedain deck next, which are like the Rangers, like Aragorn and that. I think that's going to be quite good fun. There was even an Ent deck I think I made a while back, so it was all Treebeard and all the tree allies. You can even do an Eagle deck. It's like those eagles that could have solved everything. But yeah, there's just such good variety with this game. It allows me to get into the theme, the scenarios are great. I always put on the Lord of the Rings movie soundtrack trilogy on YouTube every time I play this game, so I can just get that music in my head while I'm playing it. Great artwork, great scenarios. Love this game, even though it does like to beat me to death on a regular basis. Clank. Some of these number 3 Thunderstone Quest. Actually, no, Thunderstone Quest is fine. This is way too much of it. Hilmar's here. Thank you for joining me. Stilofsky, thank you. What have we got? This is the first LCG where all my money went. Yeah, this LCG will suck up your cash like crazy if you try and get it all. We try to get this second hand. He's really loving LCGs. I do like the LCGs. However, there are only 3 LCGs on my top 100. I have played the other LCGs. Netrunner, Star Wars, Warhammer 40k, whatever that was called. But the problem is, the reason those aren't liked by me as much anymore is because they're competitive. The competitive LCGs, the power creep is too much. I can't keep up with the tournament scene. I don't like playing games in tournaments because I just think everybody takes it too seriously. It's not fun. I don't want a prize. I just want to play the game and have fun. And it just made competitive ones problematic. Notice that the free LCGs I have are all co-op. Yes, this has got so much content like you wouldn't believe. Whatever. Buy the first couple of boxes and packs and just have fun. Finding that, come to me. I'll teach you how to play the game with any scenario you feel like. And it's my interest to help you because it's a co-op. You don't have to catch up to everybody else in a co-op game. You can go at your own pace. And that's why the co-op LCGs work rather than the competitive ones. Hey, Sunavaz here. Has Johannes joined you yet? You missed my talk on Terra Mara. I was hoping to get your feedback on that one. Oh well. Next up, number two favorite game. This one has actually gone up 2 places. This one has managed to overtake the LCGs in terms of how much I love the game. I think it's probably because of the 2 expansions. The 2 expansions really elevated this game, particularly the second one, which fixed the only flaw I had with the base set. So now I've got the complete thing. I've got a playmat for it, custom sleeves. I love it is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever played. It's got a fun theme with it. It's got good variety, and I've played it a few times lately, teaching it to people. They've enjoyed it. Well, except for one. That one person doesn't like it, but whatever. You're always going to get that one. But it has just worked. I mean, every time I play this game, I have a good time, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 player. And I think just because of that second expansion, fixing the problem I had with the base and adding extra variety with the content, add the Kraken one in as well. Yeah. This one is, I don't think anyone's called it. Oh, someone's called it. Yeah, there's a couple of, yeah. Big face. We don't like your face. Yeah, the game that spawned 1 million covers is this one with no name on the cover. Abyss. I love this one. Oh, I need to get my throat back. It's still quite light. Well, it's not stupidly light. It's a light Euro after the expansions, although there is more content to learn in the expansions, but they don't add that much more complexity, but they just add a lot more depth to the game. But this is just beautiful. Notice this picture here. This enlarged picture. This was me at the last HandyCon, right? That is the playmat you can get for this game now. So this playmat is huge. I mean, we were playing on a small table, so I was a bit limited on space. It incorporates all the expansion content, so I can put everything on this playmat. Look at the artwork on this stuff. I mean, this is basically the Gungan universe from Star Wars, minus Jar Jar Binks, and given a bit more of a serious nature to it. But these cards, the bottom picture there with some of the artwork, it is phenomenally gorgeous. I don't know what it is with the French, but when the French get to designing games, designers and publishers, they just know how to make their games look good. French art has just got to be some of the best art you can get in board games to date. And Kafalar is certainly one of my favorite designers, so him being on this cover is not a bad thing either. But it's just, what can I say? It's a simplistic game. You get these fish allies, the seahorses, crabs, and shellfish and that. You use them in order to acquire these lords, those big cards, huge cards with the artwork on it. Each lord gives you a special power, either instant or a different ability. You need different combinations of allies to get the lords. But depending on what you use to spend, you get more points with said allies later as they affiliate with you. You get the keys from the lords that allow you to unlock those big locations. You can see that big cardboard piece at the bottom, something of giant clams, which gives you more point scoring opportunities. You've got, now with the expansion, you've got corrupted currency with the Kraken allies. They're wild allies, but they give you nebulous black pearls, and trying to spend them to avoid minus points is, part of the game. But then the second expansion brings in Leviathans. You get these insanely gorgeous looking beasties. Sadly, I don't have a picture on. Well, you can see it in the back, right at the back in the top left, but sadly, I don't have a close up. But just imagine these gorgeous gargantuan fish like monsters all of them unique on these different cards, and you can fight against them and get bonus points for beating them off, and also just like, killing enough of them that they think, oh, you're the strongest leader, we should rank you. And there's just a good amount of variety in this game, but I think it's just the smoothness of it. It just, even with the 2 expansions, it's super smooth. You've essentially got one of 3 actions you do. Go for more allies, get allies from the Senate, buy a lord. Those are your 3 actions. What happens on those actions has some implications. Does it unlock a location? What does this lord do? People can buy the allies off you as you're going to find them, so money changes hands, so there's a bit of player interaction in the game. Again, it's not multiplayer solitaire. This has a decent amount of interaction in it, but it's so smooth. I can teach this really easy with both expansions, and I do so every time. I never play this without the expansions. It needs the expansions, to be honest, and that was a problem with the base set. It's kind of like, this is really good, but I need more. Kraken's really good. Leviathan's, yep, top 10. It just works. Honestly, never have a bad time with this. I love playing it. If it gets offered on the table with the expansions in it, I want to sit down and play it. I've got this pimped up like playmat with the sleeves, those little clam shell things that hold the pearls. They came with the game. But yeah, gorgeous. My favorite Euro game that exists. My favorite Euro game, Abyss. Will it stay this high? I don't know, but I can't see it leaving the top 10 anytime soon. I just really adore it. What do we got here? People are calling my number 1. I wish Abyss had solo mode. Me too. The one minor flaw, I wish it had a solo mode. The bidding sequence feels like a big council negotiation, which is a subtle, neat, thematic thing. I never thought of it like that. Nice. Nothing else, and the people are calling my number 1. No, it will not be Great Western Trail. People are mentioning Concordia. Well, have I got a surprise for you in a minute? This must be the largest change since last year. Not really. It's only gone up 2 places. I do hate Great Western Trail, and I don't mind showing it. I was expecting Marvel Champions too. Was it earlier on this list and I forgot? Marvel Champions was back at number 23. Check out 2 videos ago, because I think you didn't join us on that video. I'm not sure. Or maybe you did miss it. Luke's number 1's got to be Age of Steam. Blech. Can't find the Leviathan anywhere. Yeah, I think, well, I don't know what the distribution is from Bombix, but if you can get Leviathan, try and do so. Number 1 is the Seasons Extra Dice expansion. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that, actually. Yeah, give me more of those big chunky dice for every game, and the game would instantly propel to number 1, I think. All right. Numero uno. Some of you have called it, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, because I was lying about my favorite Euro. I'd say Abyss was my favorite Euro. It's not. This is my favorite Euro. Everyone talks about it on Facebook, and with good reason, because it's light, it's elegant, it's colourful, it's got a theme that everybody can get into, and it plays up to 6 players, particularly with some expansions that even allow you to play it in teams. It just works. Much like Fallout 76, it just works. You can't beat this Euro game. This one, I mean, look at the artwork on the front there, I mean, granted, the first edition of this had like the big zombie face on there with the zombie girl or whatever it was, but this looks so much better. You can see the guy there in the front, he looks like he's excited to play this game, but you're getting the classic Mediterranean resources like salt and cloth and bricks, using them to put little buildings on the board, moving across this map of Italy or whatever map expansion you happen to get. It's talked about highly, and with good reason. Anybody who hates this game is must be talking rubbish, surely. And I can't do it anymore. I can't talk about this piece of tat anymore. I wanted to troll everybody, but yeah, I'm sorry, this game is garbage. Yeah, you knew it was coming. Sentinels on the multiverse. So those are the multiverse. I mean, it did actually fall from my number 1 last year. Lord of the Rings slightly beat it out, because it does kind of vie for position, but now the LCGs have dropped a little bit. Abyss is sort of caught up. I don't think Abyss would overtake this one. I just cannot get enough of this game. It's been a while since I've played it last, I must admit, but that's more from being too busy. But I have got a crate in the other room that is about this big. It is like twice the size of a Gloomhaven crate. It's got all of the Sentinels collection in it. With dividers, with variants, with foil cards. I've even ordered and printed... No, sorry, I ordered from the US the entire Cauldrons set for it. This was a fan-made expansion for the game, which gave you a bunch more heroes, villains, and environments. I ordered it from the US. It cost like a couple $100. You know, it was not a cheap purchase. But this is how much I love this game. I love superheroes. That is no secret. I've talked highly of Marvel. I like DC as well. I watch the CW stuff. You know, granted, they're not the best shows ever. I mean, they're not going to top my top 10 TV shows anytime soon. But I just love watching superhero shows. I like watching Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and all the rest of Legends of Tomorrow and stuff. I loved watching Daredevil and... Oh, what's the other one? Daredevil and Jessica Jones and, you know, the Iron Fist and Luke Cage on Netflix. I love watching all of Marvel. I love watching all the DC films. Granted, some are better than others and some weren't as good. But, you know, I love superheroes. And this game tells me, Luke, would you like a co-op? Yes. Do you want it to be about superheroes? Yes. Which one? Marvel or DC? Oh, no, we've come up with our own. Excuse me? And this one created its own universe of all these heroes. I mean, if you go to the website Greater Than Games, they've got an entire comic strip based on of this. You know, you could read up effectively a Marvel universe with this universe. All the artwork is looks like it's comic strips. You know, people keep complaining, the artwork sucks. Okay, yes, it's not the most gorgeous artwork ever, but it fits the theme. It's comic artwork, and I think it looks exactly what most comic books would probably look like with these. But it creates such a good co-op experience for me, because I can basically say, right, which hero would you like to be? Which hero do you like from Marvel? And it's like, well, I'm quite a big fan of Captain America. There you are, your legacy. All right, what about you? Well, I quite like the Iron Man. Is that right? You're Bunker. You know, Batman, Rafe. You know, I can give you a hero based on which one you like from the Marvel and DC universe, and I say, this is your deck. No deck building whatsoever. Not a single bit of deck building required. You get it's like the Empires of the North game I mentioned. Why that takes over Imperial Settlers? Because you don't deck build in it. You just get your deck. That's it. Here, I decide I want to be, I want to be Absolute Zero. Fine. Where's my Absolute Zero deck? Dunk. Ready. The setup is really quick. You just get your heroes, you do your villain, you choose your environment, the variety is off the charts, and then you get going. Now, the game's not flawless. I'll admit, no game is flawless. Even my 10s are not flawless games. I admit the bookkeeping in this game is high. It puts off a lot of people. I can totally understand that. I've played this enough that the bookkeeping doesn't bother me anymore. I'm so used to how the effects work. I've got the rules down to a T that I can just go through the bookkeeping no problem. And if the tactile game is too much of a head scratcher for you, then play the app. The Sentinels the Multiverse video game app. It is one of the best apps out there. It's on top tier alongside the likes of, say, Through the Ages, and I've yet to try it, but I think this probably will be in the top tier, Root. Because I don't know much about the Root game, but the app looks really good. We're talking top tier level app here. It handles the bookkeeping for you, but it gives you the superhero style music. It gives you the comic fold out pages. It allows you can expand it with variety. I've even got one expansion that basically puts you up against what is basically a Galactus level threat, where you fight across with multiple heroes, and as one hero dies, you get another one. You play through this ridiculously long game, and granted, it is a bit ridiculously long. It is not for the faint-hearted or the casual fan of Sentinels, but for me, it gives me possibly the most thematic superhero experience I can get from any game ever created. It's so much fun. And I just put on the Marvel soundtrack while I'm in the background so I can hear, you play through a big boss of this and you get to the end and you finish them off with the Avengers music kicking in. Oh, it feels good. I love it. It's not for everybody. There are some people who absolutely hate this game. Fine. Hate it. I can understand why. It's not for everybody, but if I get a chance to bring this out, it's a co-op, so I can just teach people how to do it. Hands don't have to be secret in this game. You can tell me what you've got. group discussion. You know, there's no alpha player problems I don't get any alpha player problems with this. The villains are all varied. The heroes are all varied. Everybody just gets into the theme, especially like 1 or 2 people I know who I play this with who are even more than me into the theme. And every time we play it, we ham it up like crazy. We just have so much fun. And I can't wait to get this out again, whether in app form, which I have played the odd few times lately. But, you know, even my crate. I want to get my crate out and do a solo play of that one day. Love this game. Absolutely love Sentinels of the Multiverse. Whew. And what did people think of that one? An aberration. Tell us how you really feel. Thanks. Your number 1 is Arkham Horror, the card game. Cool beans. Well, it was only just shy of mine. Concordia with the Western Brass Birmingham Trail expansion suite number 1. Yeah, I give Brass respect. I don't like it enough at the moment. I gave it a 6 originally. I'd probably give it a 5 now. It's fine. I think it's average. The other 2, though. Bleh. Let's have a look. Daredevil is amazing. Oh, it was. I mean, that was a really good show. I was so gutted when those Netflix shows stopped. Stupid Netflix. What makes it stand out? What makes it stand out for Marvel Champions? You don't have to deck build. It's a unique IP, so all the heroes, yes, some of them parody ones you already know, like there's the Wraith is basically the Batman, even though it's different. Expatriate with all the guns is basically the Punisher, but it's still its own unique IP, so, you get to, enjoy all this new style of content. You don't have to go, oh, wait, yeah, I've seen this one before. No, you get to check out all these really cool villains with such variety. The Punisher was pretty good. Season 1 was okay, but man, Punisher... I should do a top 10 one day of my top 10 Netflix Marvel shows. That might be interesting. But Punisher Season 2, that was so good. The chemistry between the main character and the girl, I forget her name. It's been a while since I watched it. But the chemistry with those two was so good. Character development off the scale. I cried at the last episode when they parted ways. It was so heartbreaking. How does Sentinels differ to all the other superhero deck builders? Well, I've already said. Unique IP, and you don't have to deck build. Here's my deck. Done. Easy. You are just not hot for Euros. Abyss, Viticulture, Terra Mara, Seven Wonders Duel, Vindication, going further down, Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North, Fields of Isles, Scythe, Architects of the West Kingdom, Pulsar 2849, Pursuit of Happiness, Seven Wonders, Caverna, Anachrony, Dinosaur Island, Predator Porter, Edge of Darkness, Citadels, and Wingspan. That's in my top 30. And Vital Lacerda and a lot of other Minecraft games further down. Trust me, I like Euros. They just got to be thematic ones, for the most part. I think Ticket to Ride should be number 1 on BGG. I do. Honestly. I'll talk more about that when I do the top 10 Ticket to Ride set list. But name a game that has done so much more for the hobby than Ticket to Ride. Played by everybody. Liked by any type of gamer. Sold millions since, 2004. Still sells now. Tons of extra sets. Works well in game cafes. It's brought my family into gaming. It's brought multiple families into gaming. I can literally find a person come to my Portsmouth club who's never seen a game before, bring out Ticket to Ride, and they enjoy it. I'm sorry, Gloomhaven has not done enough for this hobby compared to Ticket to Ride. Brass Birmingham is not flawless. It's not even particularly good, but no game is flawless. Not even anything I put on my top 10 is flawless. Yeah, but most people who knew me probably knew Sentinels was going to be at least in the top 10, if not number 1. Viticulture was designed in St. Louis, United States. It isn't a Euro. It doesn't have to be designed in Europe to be a Euro. That's not how it works. This is more niche than Abyss. Well, these days you don't hear about Sentinels in the Multiverse as much, particularly as the app came out. But back in 2011, for the first couple of years when Sentinels was first released, it was the hotness. It's just been 9 years. Everything's all Cult of the New or Cult of the Unreleased these days. Tom loves this game. Yes, Tom does love this game. And no, Tom is not wrong. Great list. Played the app of Root. It's fantastic. Yes, I hope to do a solo digital play of Root at some stage. Once I get the hang of it, I'll go through the tutorials. Disney's fault. Yeah, I can't remember whose fault it was with the Netflix shows, but good night. Oh, you're not going to stick around for a bit of chat soon, have I? Ah, well, but good night to you. Hot for Euros, is that a Van Halen song? What? Right, Cinema, okay, you are a bit good. Luke, do you like Mage War? All right, well, actually, let me get on to some questions now. So, if you have enjoyed the top 100, oh man, this is a slog to do every year, but it's a fun slog. It takes a lot of effort to do this, but finally, I can now get on with some top 10s. I can get back to some reviews and top 10 lists. I've got top 10 Ticket to Ride sets. I've had ideas from my $5 and up Patreons who have suggested things like top 10 games that blew my mind, top 10 games by X designer and stuff like that. Trying to think of another one. I was thinking like a top 10 animal game list or something, although I don't know if I've played enough of them. I got a lot of ideas and I can't wait to get back to them. But, if you like the top 10 and top 100 even, or this episode, and you want to head off, then by all means do. But I'm going to stick around for a few minutes, maybe till about 20 past 9. And just have a little engage with the chat. So let's see what people have said. In fact, let me put the phone more here so I can see it directly in front of me and get back to my cider. At the end of the day, you can like any game you like. You don't have to like my games. Most people watch my channel and say they have completely different tastes. If you're watching the channel, that's fine. You can have, everybody's got different tastes. You can hate all my games and love a completely different set of them, but as long as you're polite about it, then be that. Like what games you like. Don't necessarily like my games. These are just my top 100. Your top 100 could be completely different, and I would love to see it. What do we got? So let's have a look. Do you like Mage Wars or Summoner Wars better? I think Summoner Wars because it is easier to play, although to be fair, I haven't played either of those games in years. I mean, I didn't really get into either of them that much, but Summoner Wars is just quicker and easier, and probably, yeah, it's definitely quicker and easier. Maybe Catan. I expect Hilmar, you're referring to what game has changed gaming. You could make the argument for Catan, but these days, loads of people are still trying to rag on Catan by saying, oh, it's dated, or I never liked Catan, or something. You don't tend to hear that said about Ticket to Ride, and to be honest, Catan did do a lot for the hobby back in the 90s, but I would not want to try and teach my parents Catan. I don't know if they would get the whole negotiation thing, but they got Ticket to Ride fine, and even Sushi Go for that matter. Oh, Eddie Van Halen, yes, it was I don't tend to listen to his music, but, it's never good when a big showbiz person actually dies. Used to be German games, now Euro, now still Euro, but made anywhere. Yeah, that's pretty much the deal. Thanks for enjoying the live top 30, Yvonne. Sentinels of Earth Prime is coming. Yes, I'm interested to see how that turns out, although I didn't really kickstart it because I thought, even if I don't play it at all, I've got all the Sentinels in the multiverse in the world. Although Arcane Wonders and Dice Tower Essentials are doing a kind of tactical play version of Sentinels in the multiverse, Freedom 5 or whatever it's called. Cannot wait to see what that's like. I enjoy Sentinel solo. Yeah, I pretty much do play it entirely solo, but I do like playing it with stuff there. You are a bit biased because you are emotionally attached to TTR. Not really. I mean, to be fair, we play Ticket to Ride a lot with the family, but they've gotten more into Sushi Go at the moment now. My friends and that keep asking me for extra copies of Sushi Go Party because they've just fallen in love with it. But yeah, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of Gloomhaven, but then there's some games in the top 10 I love. What's it, Scythe? Is that still in the top 10? I love Scythe. But I don't think that should be anywhere near the top 1 of BGD. I'm trying to think of the hobby as a whole. What games have really changed the hobby? What's accessible to everybody? What can be bought by everybody and enjoyed by everybody? Not niche games that come in giant crates and cost £150 with Euro mechanics that are basically just copying other mechanics but calling them unique. You need something a bit more widespread, not that niche. I would never put Sentinels in the Multiverse and Abyss or any of my LCGs at number 1 on Board Game Geek. No, not a chance. But certainly some of these classic games, these quintessential gateway games should be higher up in the list than they are. Problem is, the Board Game Geek list is run by geeks, not by, the general public. Right. Love the top 100. Thank you very much. Top 10 games that sing to you. I don't think I said it this episode. You weren't doing a counter, mate, but I tried my best not to say it. Nice job, thank you. I like Luke's personality more than his tastes. To be honest, I think I'll take that. Actually. I'd rather you like me as a person and not my games than the other way around. So, Top 10 games that are normally outside your realm. I did a list a while back, top 10 exceptions to the rule. I think I did it earlier this year. Maybe that list would suffice that question. You need to do people's choice. What, you mean like do a big vote and get people to vote in what they think? Maybe, but that's a lot of work to do and I'm already busy as it is. And personally, I think the Dice Tower People's Choice does a pretty good job already. Top 10 games that I sing to. Maybe top 10 games I listen to soundtracks for, but thoughts on Reckoners. Never played it. Looks interesting, but I just don't want to pay that much money for a Kickstarter where I'm kind of guessing if I'll like it. But the Reckoners sounds cool. This concept. I mean, I've just finished watching The Boys season 2, and granted, season 2 was better than season 1, but I don't think The Boys is like the best series ever. I mean, it's not my style of superheroes, but I still enjoy it. But The Reckoners sounds like a cool story that all the superheroes are bad, just outright bad, and the humans are trying to find ways to deal with them. Sounds cool, but it's basically a overproduced dice game. I don't know if it's worth the money. I would like to try it, though. I would like to try it. Second version of Summon the Wars is coming next year. Fair play. I mean, I wasn't enough into the first version of it, but maybe the second one will win me over. Such a great format. I don't know if everybody likes the idea of doing these on live stream, but to be honest, if everybody does prefer the live streams to the pre-recorded ones, then it will make life easier next year. You're underestimating your parents, Luke. Possibly, but to be honest, what do my parents like to play? Ticket to Ride. I think I've played a Forbidden Desert with them. They love Sushi Go Party. They can just about they can handle Carcassonne. They just about handled Love Letter. Don't think there's many other games after. Oh yeah, Splendor. They can just about handle Splendor. I tend to win most of these games all the time, mind you, but at least they handled them. They couldn't really handle Takinoko. You know, like I say, my parents are not dumb, but it's just they're not used to these types of modern games, and they're in their late 60s. You know, they can only take so much. Give them some credit, benefit of the doubt. I've tried, but like I say, even with Wingspan, I just don't think my dad will get Wingspan. First impressions of a new Feld game. I have not played Bonfire, although I have made enough jokes to Paul Grogan about what the name Bonfire should really mean when it comes to Feld games, but I don't think he'll agree with me on that. I prefer the Board Game Geek ranked by number of votes when showing people the website. It's okay. Yeah, I know Board Game Geek has geek in its name, but still, it's not. I don't trust the ranking system on Board Game Geek anyway. I mean, Kingdom Death Monster in the top 30 games or whatever it is. Kingdom Death Monster? Who even has a copy of that game, let alone has played it? I mean, come on. Through the Ages is in there twice. Twilight Imperium is in there twice. It's not worth it. +1 for live streams, just missing the meme videos. Don't worry, you'll get plenty enough of those in the reviews and that. Live streams are great. Not quite a win-win for everybody, especially those in the Southern Hemisphere. Yeah, I know, it sucks for you in the New Zealand realm. But, like I say, I mean, what time would I have to do this in order for it to be comfortable for you? Probably like, 4 in the morning? It would be quite insane. +2 on live streams. I think your personality feels more natural as you can interact with the chat, feels more comfortable. Cheers. I mean, I must admit, I do love these live streams, and live streams are good fun. Speaking of which, we're into October. That means I got to do a live Q&A soon, so I'll have to schedule that for some point. Live Q&A session for an hour and a half. And then also I want to do, as I said, a solo digital play of Root, so I might schedule that in. That'll be another live stream. What are your thoughts on a live review? Because I've got Alma Mater and a couple of other games I need to review, like Quirky Circuits and that, and I'm kind of like, time to do the pre-recorded videos. I mean, I'm doing pre-recorded for some. I've just edited and finished rendered Tekenu. That's coming up probably Wednesday. I'll probably care that for Wednesday. But yeah, Tekenu review is coming, and that's pre-recorded. But some of these other reviews, particularly as we get past Essen, I might need to find alternative formats. And I do some on my podcast, but a live review? A 30-minute tops, 25-minute tops, like live review where I talk about the game in a detailed format, but then interact with the chat. You ask questions about the game, I answer them, and then I give my verdict. Would that be good? I don't think anybody else has done that on other channels. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an idea I had. What are your thoughts? Live streams are fine, but work. No. If they handled those, Catan is no problem. +3. Failed games, ugly but good. Well, they're certainly ugly. KDM just has a religious following. Yeah, probably. A cultish following. even if it's smallish. 8 a.m. Well, I'd have to record my stream at 8 a.m. for it to be alright for you. Actually, that's not too bad. I mean, I could get up early on a Saturday morning and do it. It'd be fine for you. It'd be fine for anybody to the east, although it would completely kill the US audience because they would all be asleep. Thanks for the reminder. It's 4:20 p.m. here in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. Exactly. It's, a perfect time for those in the US and Canada. Live anthology would be good. What you mean, like reviewing multiple games? Well, I kind of do that on the podcast, but yeah, I see what you mean. Live review, good. Live review, isn't that hard for you to do? Well, not necessarily. I mean, if I'm going to record the video anyway, it's going to take me an hour to record the video, with all the extra footage. It's then going to take me a good 2 to 3 hours at least to edit said video and then get it uploaded and all that stuff. And, that takes a lot of time for one single review. A live stream, if I know what I'm going to say and I've got bullet points to factor it in, I can do the review in 30 minutes. I'd have to, not 30 minutes. I'd have to do a presentation like this with Google Slide for pictures and imagery and maybe some B-roll footage. So, okay, add another hour and a half for that, 2 hours back. I mean, it would still take less time than a normal review. There are only €5 in the BGG Top 100 that are designed by non-Europeans. This is out of €75 games. Okay, maybe that is the definition, I don't know. But I mean, I did my glossary a while back, and I didn't really factor in where it was made. It's more the style of game. How is it played rather than its country of origin. Because, I mean, if Amerifrash is America and Euro is Europe, what's a game made in Japan? What's a game made in Australia? What are they? Try live review, it'd be interesting. I like the idea of us being able to inquire about the detail. People in the Kingdom of Death Monster Cult seem so happy I may have to sign up. Yeah, but why are they happy? I mean, Arkham Horror Cult. Just try a live review, or maybe I will. Maybe for Alma Mater I'll do a live review. We'll see how that one works. You could do a live review similar to how Rado does it. A second camera focused on the game and you can discuss with the components on the table, no PowerPoint. The problem is I don't really have the setup for that. Well, I kind of do, but the problem is I don't know if I've got a way to hook up multiple cameras to my OBS at the moment. I think I can do 2 cams, but the game would have to be there, the laptop would be here. I've got this apparatus, but I just don't know how I'd set it up. And on top of that, I have to have this microphone. This microphone with the filters on it in OBS cancels out the deafening sound of the laptop fan noise that is in the background that you lot hopefully can't hear. And if I don't have this microphone, any other microphone I get ever will pick up the laptop fan. So it does limit me on what I can do. But I can do B-roll footage and I can do the Google Slide fine, and it gives me something to show people on the screen. So I think that way would work a little bit better for me. Not to mention I can prepare it in advance and there's less stuff to go wrong. As I say, small room, small UK house, small space, small budget, can only do so much. Don't forget about your viewers in Mexico. I do not. Thank you, Mexico. Games from Japan are called Jap Slaps. That thing, or are you just trolling me on that one? I got First Martians and Robinson Crusoe on your review from one of the accounts and absolutely love both of them. Cheers. One of the best Euro designers from New Zealand. What, Shem Phillips? Well, to be fair, Raiders of the North Sea, Architects of the West Kingdom, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. Yeah, I mean, yeah, generally pretty good. But we aren't people, apparently. I don't know. I've never been to New Zealand. I just don't think I ever will, though. I mean, that one hell of a travel trip. But it looks gorgeous every time I see people go there. You won't have heard the laptop fan in the videos, though, especially not the live streams, because this is a dynamic microphone. It literally barely picks up my voice when I go like this. So it's designed with the filters. There's filters on it to cut out the low frequency noise. So it's not picking up the fan. And because it's dynamic, it literally is in front of me. It's not like one of those cardioid omnidirectional type mics like the Blue Yeti, which basically the Blue Yeti microphone picks up every sound here, outside, and in the next county. It's ridiculous. But the phone, I use my mobile phone to do the solo plays, the top plays. That's on a mount that's got the webcam at the moment, and it's overhead and it's looking down at the table. I've used the speaker from the phone in recent videos, and I want to get some better microphone for it. I'm thinking maybe a Zoom H1 or some other type of microphone to record my voice for the solo plays. But if I use the speaker phone and I'm recording with the laptop, wow, you will hear that laptop fan noise like crazy. UK homes really that small? Yes, they are. You can get some big UK homes, but that's if you're a rich mofo. I mean, it's like really mad. This is a 3-bedroom house. It's not exactly, titchy, but it's not massively big either. But the problem we have is that the UK has got a fascination with rooms. It's like every house should have as many rooms as possible because apparently that sells more. I don't care about having multiple rooms. I live alone. I'm never having kids. I haven't even got a girlfriend, so it's like I don't need that many rooms. But if we knock down one or two of these walls, I could create this massive open space. I like open plan. My flat used to be open plan, and I loved it for it. But I'm jealous of you Americans. You Americans have got houses, you put up your picture saying, here's my game room, here's my man cave, and your man cave rooms are bigger than our entire bottom floors. It's ridiculous. I am so jealous of you lot there. You have the best places to put game rooms in, bar none. Quaint. Well, quaint, still not big enough for my liking. You only one in Iceland? Oh, I cannot wait to visit Iceland, Hilmar. Let's please, fingers crossed that next year gets rid of this stupid, paranoia thing, and we can go back to normal. I want to come to Iceland. New build houses can be tiny. Yeah, that is the thing. This is a new build house, so they are a bit smaller than the average house. But even then, I mean, at least it's in good nick. I keep it clean. It's in one good piece, so it's I don't regret this house at all. But honestly, you give me a house that's big enough to hold like the biggest studio ever, like scratch from the ground up, built from scratch studio with the big table, overhead camera mounts, sofa, like flowers area where I can do the recordings with nice stuff in the background. Think like Before You Play do in their videos. The TV on the wall, game shelves. Now, I could create such a good place for me. My zen place to do all my videos now. It would be amazing. Lapel, I've tried lavalier mics and I just find that the audio quality always seems to be bad and you hear it rustling on your t-shirt. But I've got one lavalier mic in the other room. Maybe I'll give it another test run tomorrow when I'm doing a solo play and see if it works better for me. Would you do a live play on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator? Well, I mean, if it's a solo game, that could work. But then, how else would I do a live play on Tabletop Simulator? I mean, I'd have to get people that are interested, and then, I mean, if they don't mind having their voice heard, maybe. I don't know how to stream multiple cameras. I'm not well enough with OBS, but I don't quite get what specifically you want. But it could be interesting. I mean, I'm doing a live video cast this next Saturday. Werful Reviews from the last video, they were in the chat. They got in touch with me afterwards and said we should do a collaboration. So we are going to do a big 1.5 hour, 2 hour video podcast thing, and we're going to talk about all sorts of board game topics, the three of us. So that should be good fun. It'll be hosted on their channel, so you have to get in touch with them. Time to hit the gaming table here at home in the Netherlands. I would like to come back to the Netherlands and visit some places because I haven't been there enough. I mean, there's loads of people around the world that have said, oh, if you ever get to visit in this country, then, we'll get together and play games. People have offered me sofas and spare beds in their houses, from America to Poland to Norway to Belgium. People are just offering themselves out. And it's like, hey, love it. I'm flattered. If we could just get rid of this stupid pandemic, I'd take you up on the offers. Paul Grogan does it all the time. He does this as a full-time job. He's had all the time in the world to research how it's done, and he unfortunately doesn't have the spare time to instruct me on a full-time course on how to do it myself. But and to be fair, the audio is sometimes a little bit sketchy in some of those videos. But then, like I say, he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to do the multiple things. But he's got the budget for it. He does it full time. It's his job, so he's invested in all the equipment and knows what he's doing with it. He's way beyond me. Condos, great series. See you on the next one. I think a live play with another channel could work. Maybe. I mean, if I can figure out how to do the camera thing, if I find some software that allows us to have multiple cameras on the screen, there are some channels I wouldn't say no to playing some games with. They'd be long, though. I mean, tabletop simulator games take a long time. They'd be like multiple hours. Thanks for an entertaining morning. Later. You know what? We're at 9:30. I think this is time to wrap it up. An hour and a half, I think, is more than enough for a stream. I don't want to put off too many people who might come to this video later and go, 90 minutes to do the top 10. Hopefully, when I put the timestamps in it, they'll feel a lot better. So, yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining me. Cheers to you all. I'm going to finish off this cider and figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the evening. I don't know. Watch a movie, play some Deep Rock Galactic. Actually, no, I know what I need to do. I've got Super Fantasy Brawl on the table here, and it's a complete mess. I'm trying to pack it into the box because they made the trays too big. But, you know, I'm unboxing a lot of games here, and I probably will get on with that. Maybe play some Lord of the Rings LCG. I've got the other pack there I need to play. But yeah, oh well, like I say, and Kabuki spoiling my list. How dare you? Oh well, some people like it, and they'll get the timestamps. Some people literally just breeze through the video and just go, oh, that was interesting. Seems like a waste of a video when that happens, but, you know, oh well. At least they clicked on it. It's got the view. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me on these last 30 games. You know, regardless if you could make them all or not. Thanks for joining me on this whole top 100. Same time again next year. Possibly in full live stream format by that point. Might be interesting. If my throat can last that long. But, yeah. It's been enjoyable. Love it. And now you can get to seeing some actual top 10 lists from me. In podcast, live, and pre-recorded form. You know, everybody's been asking, when are the top 10 lists coming back? Well, they can now. So, I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video. Take care, and love you all so much.